Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into some really quite chilling encounters. These are drawn from first-hand accounts, shared online, about experiences in abandoned and, well, sometimes just seemingly ordinary mansions. And our goal here really is to explore what happens when those lines blur, between the known and the unknown, inside places we think should be safe. We'll pull out the most compelling bits from the stories, try to get a feel for the different kinds of fear they bring up.
It's definitely tapped into something universal, hasn't it? This human fascination with hidden places, with secrets, and these unsettling stories. They have such a powerful emotional impact, especially when they're set in homes or mansions. It really sets the stage for a specific kind of dread.
It really does. So let's jump straight into the first one. This involves a group of friends, the narrator, Chad and Brad, who decided to explore an abandoned, unfinished mansion just outside Toronto. They'd heard about it from a friend, seen some pictures that were apparently quite intriguing. The place looked almost perfect, just deserted. So naturally, they had to check it out.
Curiosity getting the better of them.
Exactly. So this mansion was about 10 miles north of where they were. Big gravel driveway, lots of pine trees and foliage all around, giving it this, natural privacy shield. And, yeah, construction looked almost done, but it was just stopped. Abandoned mid-process.
Frozen in time, almost.
Kind of. They got in through an unlocked back window in the kitchen area, had to climb over the counter, and inside, the first impression was weirdly immaculate. I mean, yeah, there were signs of construction cabinet doors on the floor, sheetrock leaning against walls, but everything seemed new, untouched almost.
That contrast itself is unsettling, isn't it? Newness and decay side by side.
Right, so they start looking around. The narrator heads towards the living room, huge, pristine, then the dining room. Then down this wide hallway with doors leading off to bedrooms, mostly. At the far end, a 3-door garage. And just before the garage, the last door in the hall. That led down to the basement.
Ah, the basement. Always the basement.
Always. So the narrator calls out, tells Chad and Brad they're heading down. But this basement had this really bizarre spiral staircase. Apparently, once you got down, you couldn't even see the door at the top anymore.
Oh, wow. Disorienting.
Totally. Pitch black down there, too. No windows. Needed a flashlight. And it was completely unfinished, just concrete, but massive. Like you could fit a basketball court down there easily with multiple sections. Okay, so the narrator's exploring, finds this back room with some storage containers. Curiosity strikes again. Opens the first two, just building tools inside. But then from a third container, they hear this little bump.
Oh.
Yeah. So they bend down to lift the lid on that one, and it starts lifting by itself, just rises up.
No way.
Yeah. And this whispering sound comes out. The narrator kind of stumbles back, terrified. Looks down and sees this smiling face.
Yeah.
A ghostly woman. Really skinny, pale. Is her head lifting the container lid.
Just her head.
That's what it looked like. Her head pushing the lid up. She looks right at them, laughs, and then says, clear as day, peekaboo, and laughs again.
Okay, that's deeply disturbing.
Utter terror. The narrator scrambles, runs back up the spiral staircase, but now the basement door at the top is locked.
Locked from the outside.
Unlocked. They start banging, screaming for Chad and Brad, thinking maybe it's a prank, right? But then they hear creaks coming up the spiral staircase. The laughter starts getting closer. This horrible mumbling sound, too.
Nightmare fuel.
They're screaming their lungs out. Finally, Chad wrenches the door open from the other side. Narrator bolts out, but glances back for just a split second. Sees the figure, almost at the top step, looking right up at him. They slam the door, lock it tight. Chad saw her, too. They both just sprinted for the front door, didn't even close it, just ran.
I don't blame them.
They get to the edge of the property, totally shaken, talk about it in the car for like an hour. But then the narrator gets this weird feeling, this compulsion.
To go back after that.
Yeah. Sounds crazy, but they felt responsible, didn't want to leave something or someone trapped down there because they locked the door.
Wow. Okay. Gutsy. Or maybe foolish.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
They go back inside. The basement door, the one they absolutely know, they slammed shut and locked.
Well, then guess.
Wide open.
Of course it would.
It made absolutely no sense. That was it. They fled, drove home, never went back.
What's fascinating here, I think, is that mix. You've got the classic ghostly stuff, the whispers, the apparition, the laugh, but then this very physical, impossible event, the door. Locked, then inexplicably open.
Right.
That physical manipulation, it just messes with your understanding of reality. It elevates it beyond just seeing something scary. It suggests the rules don't apply there, which is, frankly, terrifying on a whole other level.
Yeah, that physical element really makes it stick in your mind, doesn't it? Makes you question everything. Okay, so from that kind of raw physical terror, let's shift gears a bit. Our next story is different, more about lingering presence, echoes of the past, maybe. Set in a childhood home, looking across the street. So this narrator grew up in a pretty nice upper-middle-class neighborhood. Their house was directly across the street from this other house, which was unusually large, almost like a mansion. And their bedroom window looked right into the windows of this mansion.
Okay, setting the scene.
One day, the narrator's playing soccer in the street with friends. It was usually a quiet street.
Yeah.
Ball rolls onto the mansion's lawn. Narrator goes to get it, kind of hoping nobody sees them trespass. Looks up at the house, and there, in one of the top windows, is a boy.
Yeah.
Looked about their own age. Narrator grabs the ball, gets off the lawn fast, asks their friends later, "Hey, have you ever seen a kid living there?" "Nope, never." Second glance back. The boy is gone from the window.
Intriguing. The first sighting.
Yeah. Doesn't see him again for maybe a month. Then, one day, just playing Nintendo in their room, gets up, looks out the window for some reason, and there he is again, same window, staring right back at them from across the street.
That direct gaze, that's unsettling.
Totally. It felt weird. Why had they never seen this kid outside? Or even the owners, really. They asked their parents about the boy in the mansion, and the parents are like, we're pretty sure there's no boy living in that house.
Okay, so the mystery deepens. Parents don't know him.
Right. So fast forward a bit. Our narrator and friends are playing soccer again, need a fourth player, and the narrator gets an idea, runs across the street, right up to the mansion's front door, and rings the bell.
Bold move.
Yeah. A woman answers, maybe in her 50s. Narrator asks, polite kid voice, "Excuse me, could your son come out and play soccer with us?"
Oh, boy.
The woman just looks puzzled, confused, asks, "What son?" So the narrator says, "The boy, the one who's always looking out the upstairs window."
Oh, the impact that must have had.
Yeah. The look on her face, the narrator describes it as just indescribable shock and maybe fear. She asked what the boy looked like. Narrator describes him. A tear rolls down the woman's cheek. She covers her mouth.
Heartbreaking.
She takes the narrator inside, up to the very room where they'd seen the boy. It's clearly a boy's bedroom, though maybe a bit dated. She pulls out a photo, shows it to the narrator. "Is this the boy you saw?" Narrator says, "Yes, that's him." And then the woman tells them that was her son, Charlie. He was 8 years old when he died, 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. 10 years.
Yeah. She'd been living there alone ever since. Lost her husband, too. She told the narrator she believed them because there was just no way they or their parents could have known about Charlie.
That confirmation must have been chilling, even amidst the sadness.
Exactly. Profoundly sad, but also terrifying for a kid to process. And it didn't quite end there. Months later, narrator's in their room, looks across the street one last time. He was there, Charlie, at the window, looking right at them. The narrator just forcefully yanked their blind shut, tried to block it out, but says the memory still gives them shivers.
If we think about this story in a broader context, it really speaks to that deep impact of grief, of loss, how it can almost imprint itself onto a place. It feels like a residual haunting scenario, maybe not malevolent, just an echo.
An echo of loss.
Exactly. The energy of that tragedy, perhaps the boy's spirit still connected to his home, maybe even seeking that connection he lost. It's powerful because it comes from such an innocent discovery of a really deep personal sorrow.
Yeah, that one hits differently, doesn't it? It's not about the jump scare, it's that quiet sadness, that lingering something. Okay, so we've had the abandoned place, the echo of grief. Our final story tonight brings us back to something much more immediate, much more human. This one involves a 21-year-old guy named Mike. He was house sitting for a family friend, and this wasn't just any house, it was a luxurious mansion, rich side of town, overlooking a huge lake.
Sounds pretty nice, right?
I think a sweet gig. Right. His duties were pretty standard. Feed 2 cats, 2 parrots, water some plants, basic chores. It was about a half-hour drive from his place, so the family said, "Hey, feel free to just sleep over in a guest room." So he decided to do that. Okay, so it's the second day there. Finishes the morning stuff, decides to take a dip in the pool, backyard pool overlooking this amazing lake. Sounds idyllic.
Living the dream. Briefly.
Briefly is right. He's relaxing in the pool, glances towards the house through these massive floor-to-ceiling windows in the living room, and he sees someone walking inside.
Whoa, okay. Not expecting that.
Definitely not. He jumps out, grabs a towel, storms inside yelling, "Excuse me." Doesn't see anyone in the living room, checks the kitchen, and there's this woman standing there. Hispanic, maybe 35, 40, fairly large, just waiting for him, it seemed.
Just standing there.
Yeah. Mike tries to stay calm, asks who she is, why she's in the house. She replies, thick accent apparently, says she's the maid, comes every day to clean the floors, introduces herself as Eliza.
Ah, the maid. Plausible explanation.
Exactly. Mike feels this wave of relief, introduces himself, asks how she got in. She says she has her own key. Okay, makes sense. Mike feels totally reassured, goes back out to the pool, doesn't see her leave, just figures she finished up later.
Seems reasonable enough at the time.
Right. Later that night, though, a couple of Mike's buddies come over to hang out, check out the mansion. They're chilling. Mike tells them about Eliza, the maid, how she startled him earlier.
And the friends.
Both immediately thought it was insanely suspicious. Their point was, why wouldn't Ben, the owner, have mentioned a cleaning lady coming by? Especially if Mike was hired to be there.
That is a very good point, actually.
Yeah. Suddenly Mike's feeling uneasy again. So he decides to text Ben, the owner, just to ask casually about the cleaning lady. Ben doesn't reply right away. Mike's friends leave. He starts getting ready for bed. Then he gets a text back from Ben, apologizes for the delay, and then just writes, what cleaning lady?
Oh, that sinking feeling.
Totally. Mike texts back, Eliza, the Hispanic woman who came by earlier, said she was the maid. Almost immediately, Ben calls him. A voice sounds really concerned.
I bet.
Ben confirms flat out, there is no cleaning lady. That was the whole point of hiring Mike, because they didn't have one. Mike said he felt like an idiot, but mostly just terrified, realizing he might not be alone right then.
That's terrifying. Knowing someone was there, lied, and might still be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ben tells him, stay put in the bedroom, lock the door, I'm calling the police right now.
Good move.
Mike locks himself in, waits. Ben actually FaceTimed him when the cops arrived so Mike could talk to them too. The police searched the whole house, top to bottom.
Not anything.
Nothing. No one. Mike tells him Eliza claims she had a key, but Ben insists that's impossible. They never made spares. Ben thinks she must have just slipped in while Mike is outside by the pool.
Possible if a door was unlocked.
Yeah. So police leave after making sure everything's locked up tight. Ben's trying to be comforting on the phone, tells Mike just hang tight, call 911 if anything else happens. They hang up. Mike tries to sleep, door locked, leaves the AC off, specifically so he can hear any little noise.
Smart, but also amps up the tension.
Totally. He's lying there, wide awake, basically just listening. And then he hears it, a little squeak.
Yeah.
From under the bed,
No, just...
like wood floor creaking.
Yeah.
He hops out of bed, heart pounding, forces himself to look underneath.
Don't leave me hanging.
Two people hiding under the bed. Eliza, the woman from earlier, and some man, maybe 10 years older. The man has his hand clamped over Eliza's mouth. And they are both staring directly at Mike.
Oh my god. That is pure horror.
Mike just screams, runs for the bedroom door, fumbling with the lock. He said it felt like forever to get it unlocked and open. As he's doing it, he hears them scrambling out from under the bed behind him.
Get out! Get out!
He bursts out, slams the door, doesn't even grab his shoes, just runs straight out of the house to his car, drives down the street, shaking, calls the police again, then calls Ben again, waits for the police cars to go past, then follows them back to the mansion.
Second search.
Second search, again, top to bottom, nothing, no one found. This time, Mike was done. Ben told him, just go home, stay safe. The family actually cut their vacation short, booked flights home the next day.
I would too.
Right. The intruders were never found, never identified. The best guess was they just walked in the front door when Mike was in the pool. He admitted he hadn't locked it, and somehow, they knew the family was gone. But how? No idea.
Wow. That story really raises that crucial question, doesn't it? What's actually scary, or something you can't explain, like a ghost, or a very real, very human threat right there in your space?
Yeah, it shifts hard.
It goes from maybe supernatural, maybe suspicious, to incredibly tangible danger. It hits all those primal fears. Intrusion, vulnerability, being watched, someone knowing things they shouldn't. And that ambiguity, the how did they know part. That just adds this whole other layer of deep unease. It's not just a break-in, it feels calculated.
That feeling of calculation, yeah.
Yeah.
And the violation of finding them under the bed, it's just a specific kind of terror that sticks with you, I imagine. Okay, so let's try and pull this together a bit. We've had three pretty distinct stories here, all set in these, mansion-type environments. What are the common threads we're seeing?
Well, vulnerability seems key, right? These places we think of as secure, or at least private, becoming stages for fear.
Definitely. And the power of the unknown invading that space, whether it's a ghost, an echo of the past, or actual hidden people, it shatters that sense of peace. And clearly the psychological impact lasts long after the event itself.
What's really fascinating, too, is how these stories kind of dismantle our assumptions about home being inherently safe. They play on anxieties about isolation, about an invasion of privacy, about the secrets old houses might hold, or even new ones.
Yeah, that's true.
They remind us that sometimes the most ordinary settings or the most luxurious ones can hide something deeply unsettling. It really blurs the lines between what we perceive, what we expect, and what might actually be lurking just out of sight, or even under the bed.
So thinking about this for you, the listener,
Right.
what does it all mean? I think these stories are a potent reminder of how much we project onto places, right? We project safety, comfort. But experiences like these can completely flip that script, fundamentally altering how we see our surroundings, how we perceive safety, even reality. The questions they leave behind, the hows and whys, those often linger the most, don't they?
They absolutely do.
We really hope this look into these chilling encounters has maybe give you a different perspective on the kinds of stories that can hide within walls, grand or otherwise.
And remember, these narratives, unsettling as they are, they offer a unique way to think about the spaces we move through, the assumptions we make, and the enduring power of the unexplained. Or sometimes the terrifyingly explained. It's about how perception itself can be the most fragile thing.
Thank you so much for joining us for this exploration. We look forward to our next deep dive together wherever the strange stories take us next.